Shut up and sit down.
Hello, everyone. It's Coleman Swartz. It's an emergency episode of Colemanoscopy. We're doing it late at night. I have a flashlight to actually light myself. It's so dark outside. The reason we are talking today is because SFA Athletics is in a whole world of shit sandwich. Joining me, Matt Adkins, SFA alum. Matt, when did you graduate?
2006.
2006. We're the same age. I was 05 and 07. He was in between and 06. And sometimes SFA Insider, he's been known to get some access. You were at Duke this year for the big basketball win. So let's talk about the shit poo sandwich that came down today. SFA in trouble with the NCAA. For lack of a better terms, we had some ineligible players playing in games that they shouldn't have been playing in. They didn't know they were ineligible at the time, but it turns out they were, and it was over a extended period of time. Big no-no. What was your initial reaction, A, when you heard we were under investigation, and B, when the hammer dropped today?
Yeah, I think a few people had heard some rumblings probably earlier in the year, especially maybe around like academics when it came to the football program. I think some stuff was kind of going out that there were some academic problems, but I don't think anyone really expected this to be really what it came to be this week. And this week, the last 2 days have been just, I think you could probably use thousands of different adjectives to describe, really anyone's feeling. But for alums like us, especially who's invested with the athletic department, It's just been, devastating, embarrassing, gut-wrenching. All of the above you can think of. It's been felt.
And to be clear, it's not, football, basketball, and baseball are the ones that were hit the hardest. They're the ones that are having wins vacated, banners coming down, championships erased from the books. There were other sports that were involved, the golf team, track and field teams, cross country. There were some other ones, but those were the minor indiscretions. If I understand it correct, the bulk of the problems revolved around those three sports. Those are the ones, football and baseball postseason ban this year, basketball postseason ban in 2 years. Right. None of this is ideal.
Right, exactly. I think that it spread over 9 different sports, and when it came to finding out how many athletes were actually ineligible that had actually played in those games. Yeah. Football, baseball, and basketball, of course, were the ones that they got the biggest punishment, unfortunately, which, those are the three obviously biggest sports. And not to say one sport's bigger or better than the other, but obviously those sports, and especially basketball, they're the ones that get the most attention. And we saw today nationally, everyone was mostly talking about the basketball program. Yeah. Knowing we're losing, 117 wins, losing our 2016 tournament, game and all that. It's mind-boggling and heartbreaking.
What people are going to say, well, we still played the games, right? We still won the games. West Virginia doesn't get to automatically go, hey, we beat them. We still won the games. But I'm with you. How you sell yourself is on paper and the records that we have. We can no longer say, hey, we're the winningest basketball program since 2010 in the state of Texas. You can't do that anymore. And I think one of the small parts that was missed, and I read the NCAA report, is we actually have to tell recruits now in writing, hey, we're in trouble, and here's the reason we're in trouble. Right. And not to say coaches are going to use this against us, but coaches are going to use this against us.
Yeah, exactly.
So why are you going to go play for them? They can't keep their house in order. Even if it was an old regime, they can't keep their house in order, and they're not going to play in the postseason. So good luck.
Right. Yeah, especially for basketball. First off, losing one scholarship is definitely a big deal for a small team. But yeah, exactly that. Recruiting is definitely much more difficult because exactly what you said. And I told some of this last night that I think we can overcome conversations with the prospect we're talking to. Sure. But when that prospect goes and starts visiting the next school, I guarantee there's going to be plenty of coaches that'll bring this up as a negative recruiting tactic just to win.
I want real quick. I told you this would be quick. I think Ryan Ivey has handled this about as well as you can. If I have my timeline correct, based on everything that's happened, he gets hired. Ryan, obviously, new athletic director at Stephen F. Well, he's not new. He's almost just finishing up his second year. He gets hired. They bring in some new compliance people. It's within a year they recognize the error. And it's then that they decide we need to self-report. We're going to be morally and ethically justified, and we should self-report this to the NCAA. I want your thoughts, because I think Ivy has done a hell of a job. He comes in, and within a year, he's like, oh, fuck burger. We got a problem here, and we got a problem that's really going to burn us unless we do something about it now. I think he's done a hell of a job considering what he walked into.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's really one of the positives you can try to take away is knowing that we have someone like Ivy and the staff that he's already brought in. I mean, it's been a top to bottom pretty much changed since that last regime. And knowing we have someone that's like Ryan, who's very honorable and open and transparent and basically everything you could possibly want in an athletic director, we have. Everything that he's done so far has been very, very positive with all of our athletic programs and definitely heading in the right direction. So I think we're in a good spot. Obviously, this is a big step back, and obviously there's never a good time for it. But if, it's hard to really think about going forward, but we're definitely lucky to have someone like Ryan leading us.
If there's a silver lining, and I don't want it to sound like I'm selfish and all I care about is winning. There's a kind of a silver lining. The football team is ineligible this coming year for the postseason. We probably weren't going to make it anyway, right? So we probably don't miss out on a ton there. The basketball team is ineligible 2 years from now, which just so happens to coincide with the team next year that's coming back, probably going to be pretty damn good.
Right.
Now, you still have to eat the eligibility issue the next year, but, baseball, who knows? Because they play such a long, hard schedule. It's up and down, so I don't know what was going to happen there. But football is really not going to miss anything, if we're being honest, and basketball is going to get to a tournament chance with a really good team next year, and then you've got to eat it. But by that time, the practice facility and all that will be open. You can kind of overcome some recruiting issues there.
Yeah.
Is that bad? I hope that's not bad.
No, I 100% agree, because obviously there's never a good time for something like this, but I'm definitely in agreement, because football program, obviously it's going to be Coach Carthell's second year. I'm very excited about what he's doing, but obviously that type of program needs a couple of years to get where they need to be. So, if it's a good time for something like this, then it's probably the best time, because they're probably another year away from being, one of those playoff contenders. Baseball has always been up and down. Never want to say that they're not a postseason contender, but basketball definitely is going to be favored to, I think, pretty heavily to win the conference next year. So we'll be good to at least have that availability.
And folks, in case you're wondering, we're not the only team ineligible. We got a whole bunch of other teams that got popped in these reports too. It's not like this is us. In fact, McNeese State is ineligible for football this coming year too. So shout out to the Cowboys. We could play each other. We could play each other in the paper towel bowl or something at the end of the year. So it's not like this is unique. It's not like this is the only time this has ever happened to a university. I can remember back in the mid-2000s or so when we were in school, I think the football program had a little up and down with some scholarship issues. This isn't the first time. It's not the last time. I think what pisses people off is they see the problems that big schools are having, the North Carolinas, the Dukes, the Louisvilles. And because those are brand names, it seems like they skate through. But here comes Stephen F. Austin with what appears to be an honest mistake, but one that was a legitimate problem. And we're gonna make an example where North Carolina can do all hell and basically get away with it. I think that's where people are upset. But
I think that's definitely one of the most frustrating parts. And you can see people, especially on social media today, very frustrated that the likes of, like you said, Carolina, Kansas, all those programs that have been pretty much caught red-handed for much bigger violations. Not on accident like ours. Basically get a slap on the wrist or nothing. So it's definitely frustrating to have such a big hammer come down on us, like this.
All right, Matt, what's your Twitter handle? I see you arguing with people on Twitter today, so that's awesome. So if people want to follow you so they can argue with you and all the other folks, give me a Twitter handle. We'll put it at the bottom so people can follow you.
So I got a couple, actually. So it's hard. I run 3 separate accounts that I think most people probably know if they follow me long enough. So I've got one, which is the Lumberjack Fans account. I've had that since, I don't know, 12 years ago.
Correct.
That's my main account where I tweet everything SFA. Got a personal account, which is just at Matt ADK. And then I also have the handle for my third one is at CBB Run the Point for college basketball Run the Point, where I basically focus on just covering college basketball, mid-majors, and specifically the Southland Conference. So that account I try to keep, pretty low-headed, but definitely my personal account and my Lumberjack Fans account, I don't mind sharing my opinion for what I think.
Well, he's been fighting with people on the internet today, mostly folks down in Huntsville. We won't name any names, but I think we can probably figure that out. Look, we're an easy target. We screwed up, fucked up. It's not necessarily people that are associated with the program now, but they were. Mistakes were made. We're paying for it. It sucks. It is what it is. It happens all the time. It just sucks when it happens to your team. That is.
Yeah. Another thing that I think that could come from this is it's going to definitely, I think, bring our fan base together even more. There's so many opportunities now to join like the Purple Lights Fund and be able to donate. I've already seen the last couple of days how many people are very positive about what's going on down the road and what things are going to come.
Smart, reasonable people understand that the folks in there now are not the ones associated with the indiscretions.
Yep.
That's a great point. And this is time to say shout out to volleyball, to bowling, and the sports that were not caught up in this. There are sports that weren't caught up in this, and we shouldn't paint this as all of SFA athletics is a bunch of dumbasses or whatever. But there were sports that got through this. Unfortunately, it's kind of the more the name brand that got popped, and that's the way it is. So,
right,
it is what it is, brother. Matt, we appreciate you. Emergency episode. This is actually our first ever episode. We might get 10 people to watch this. Terrific.
Hey, better than none.
Matt, appreciate you, brother. Have a good one.
You bet. Thanks for having me on, man. Have a good one.